Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I guess we are complete, almost complete. I'm going to do the honor today since Ark Skarbek is out. So today is 22nd of August, the 3rd, and this is going to be the Kubernetes migration demo. And we have no demo, but we are going to have plenty of discussions. So Ahmad, do you want to verbalize maybe your first point?
Yeah, I wanted to give a Proxy update. So the last couple of days, I've finished the documentation update and what else? Adjusting the image digest. So we basically have it on Docker Hub and pulling it securely. And the remaining thing, also the dashboard and the metrics. I will have a talk today with Jenny to explain where are the stuff and stuff like that. But it's also almost closed, I think, because Steve and Sean updated them last month, I think. There is only one remaining issue, which is adjusting the deployment according to the metrics and thresholds we have. So I will tackle this in the next couple of days, basically.
Thank you, Ahmad. So this is the adjusting the deployments based on the metrics is the last issue that we have on the. So and then we can declare the common proxy migration fully closed.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's also a great achievement. Another great achievement to the Kubernetes migration. Thank you for all the work you've done on that.
Thank you.
I'm going to verbalize for Skarbek that today he wasn't able to attend. So Skarbek started to prepare some issues for our new OKRs, just to be for everyone to be up to speed on that. Our OKRs are around cluster, increasing cluster flexibility. And this is is going to be our main objective. This main objective is going to have two main exit criteria, so two key results. The first one is going to be to develop the capability to rebuild our production cluster within a week. And we already have an epic for that was created last night. In addition to that, we're going to have the other key result is going to be the one to develop the capability to utilize cluster mesh spacing. And this is going to be, it should bring us a step closer to the capability also to fulfill self-service deployments. And this is also the topic that we should, it was in today's demo because we want to understand how we want to tackle the problem. And Skarbek created this issue that we want to review now. So did any one of you had the chance to go through issue 2516? Now let's take a minute and go through the issue, and then we can start a bit of discussion. Okay. I guess there's a lot of information now to discuss in an issue like this. It looks like anyone has an idea about maybe how we can start to tackle maybe understanding how which changes we need to do to the repo to be able to enable self deployments. I guess this is also trying to understand how we can separate various things that we can deploy independently. And structuring CI to not be a bottleneck or managing our workloads on the various clusters for any given team.
So I'll start with a pretty naive question because obviously I'm not familiar with every CI/CD pipeline and stuff. But given our current structure, have we discussed kind of having a directory structure based on teams or some sort of organizational structure that binds or groups several teams together, stuff like that?
Can you reverberize it, Jenny? I didn't fully get it.
Right. So kind of it's related to the item. So I was looking at the decide on environment name format to use, right? So we were discussing about environment service names and stuff like that. But like a service usually is owned by a team, right? And basically I was kind of thinking maybe we can group services by teams or by the group entity that these teams belong to, right? Stuff like that. And then obviously I'm talking with a sense that I don't really know how our pipelines are currently formatted, but we can do it via like groups of teams. And then we can let them handle those pipelines, like long-term thinking, right? Obviously.
So you are suggesting that in general, let's say there is a team that owns 2-3 services / components, so they should have the capability to deploy all of those and grouping and organizing our CI towards like this kind of organization.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the question here is more like if we use this approach, can we still deploy them like independently, one of the others, even if they belong to the same team or not? Because maybe there are some components that they're not going to be updated for whatever reason, or something like that.
I'm thinking of them as kind of separate pipelines, so like separate lines that are not like dependent on each other, but kind of grouped in a way with RBAC that allows the teams to control the pipelines. It would be under their ownership, and also ours if we want to intervene with that process, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that would be probably, I think, a good approach. I think this is like also something that probably would align on a very long-term vision of offering this platform as a service, where we can offer this capability underneath, and they can just define a manifest of what a service is and how we want to be released and so on, and then they can have ownership of the pipeline that we actually probably can create for them, that they're gonna, and they can contribute to those. Ruben, Ahmad, do you have any?
Yeah, I wanted to say something like along with what Jenny said. I think Graham also like suggested something like that on the long term. Break the GitLabcom into like separate groups, like or owners of services. So, and then like building the CI/CD around these components to basically deploy them. I think the hardest part would be like the auto deploy. I'm not sure how this is gonna work with the auto deploy packaging, because like I think right now we have everything in one repo, and we build everything from this repo, like for GitLabcom, the charts, I mean. So I think this is gonna be like the challenge of this. But I also like agree on this, like having like separate groups and owners, making it like proper microservices, so to say, on the long term is a good thing. Yeah, and
Okay. Ruben, do you see it feasible from a deployment point of view, like pipelines, to use the approach that also Graham is suggesting and Ahmad and Jenny?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure what will need to change in auto deploy.
Okay.
I also didn't properly understand what Ahmad said. What did you mean by auto deploy is having difficulty with
yeah,
the separate
because
groups?
yes, with auto deploy, I think we are deploying to Kubernetes in one part of the auto deploy, right? And with this, we have everything in one repo for Kubernetes. All the charts are combined in just one repo. So breaking this into separate repos, I think would be like challenging to add to the auto deploy, like because it's gonna be like separate repositories and separate charts. So adding this to one in one go, I think is gonna be like a challenge.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have anything to add currently.
Yeah, for sure. No
Sure.
worries. No worries.
No worries.
No worries. Okay. I think also if we go into the direction of this organizing the cluster in that way, yes, we have a problem of deploying into this cluster and trying to understand if we can deploy like services and components like independently of each other and like with different ownership of the pipelines and obviously at the end of the namespaces. I think also if we want to start to go a step forward, we need to understand also how we can expose metrics belonging to these namespaces directly to the product and service teams that they can use for like taking informed decisions like deployment and rollbacks. I guess this is a bit still like defining when we are going to define a structure of how to organize our cluster. I think this is not going to be probably an exit criteria to look at the metrics, but we also need to understand at least if the current organization is going to give us later on the right level of, we can provide with the organization we are proposing the right level of visibility. And with visibility, I mean observability into those namespaces to the teams that they're going to be the customers of those namespaces or actually the owners of these namespaces. Maybe this is something where we could start thinking in the next weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting actually to see how every separate group want to deploy one component, because like this is like what we want to achieve, right? Like self-service deployment at some point. So away from the auto deploy, of course. So this is going to be interesting to see how we will tackle this so they can deploy one component at a time.
Okay.
I think the that observability product that we acquired has a lot of stuff for specifically for Kubernetes.
The ops trace, you mean?
Ops trace, yeah. So maybe we could use that.
Okay. Thank you, Commander Ruben. I guess that actually on the ops trace word is actually probably one of their use cases, right? Exactly through the pipeline from GitLab and offering like metrics through that. So that's a good point. And maybe it's also going to be a good exercise of dog fooding when we get there. We need to understand. Yeah, we still need to provide probably a structure to that, but I think it's going to be a good starting point, definitely. Anything else that comes to your mind on this? I mean, for sure, we don't find solutions there. I'm just trying to foster some extra, even tiny bits of ideas coming up of this discussion. Do you think that we would need to change so environment locking, how this would change in a scenario where multiple components would probably try to concurrently deploy, even if in different namespaces? I think this is probably coming down to the restructuring CI, I guess, but there will be still some checks to be implemented that we don't have maybe two components deploying at the same time, because maybe you can have two engineers triggering a deployment into the same namespace. Or yeah, I don't know how these, I think these are probably a first world problem that we'll have to tackle later on when we have a bit more clarity on that.
Yeah, probably lock of resources or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess another brief topic that I wanted to bring up is sorry, in the beginning of the or in the middle of the problem statement, it says that a lot of the components are under one namespace called GitLab, and the other one is under another namespace called GitLab -cn canary, right? Yeah. So I was thinking more like, that sounds like something that we should be able to differentiate via labels instead. And have we ever had a discussion surrounding namespaces based on, say, like services slash organizations slash teams, stuff like that? Because I think that's also another step forward towards, I think Skarvek and I are on the same page here, where, you know, we give these teams like their own namespaces ownership, and then that will help like us empower them to, yeah, take that ownership of their services and their namespace.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there was this discussion like previously. I think so the current status where we are now with the cluster is the results of what was created at the beginning with the migration, and what was actually working for GitLab at the time. And then there was been probably an increase in complexity and load in the cluster because more and more services migrated into that. So I don't think that there will probably say there were some discussion, but so far I don't think no one saw the direct need probably to move into namespaces. I mean, actually at the end, a namespace in Kubernetes is actually a kind of a virtual cluster, right? So everyone can just take ownership and be admin of that particular namespace and namespace only. So we can actually work in that direction. And I fully agree there, but I'm not sure if there were previous thoughts around how this could be organized. I mean, I'm also here since 3 months and a half, so I'm not sure if I'm missing some part here. Okay. Can I ask you please to add all your thoughts that we spoke about that today in the discussion issue, and just write them up there so we have a single source of truth where we can continue discussion. And but it's already like a good start, and it's good that we start to discuss about these things and see how we can shape these in a better way. Anything else you want us to discuss?
One last thing, I think like Skarvek will watch this, so and Graham as well. One thing is the shared secrets and the secrets in general. How we going to tackle them with namespacing? Because like like namespaces are isolated, so accessing like secrets from one namespace to the other it's gonna be a challenge.
Mhm.
So I think this is one thing we need also like to think about how we are going to implement. I think there is some like controllers, Kubernetes like controllers out there that replicates the secrets. And there was an initiative inside GitLab. I'm not sure how further they are to actually implement HashiCorp Vault
Yes.
as a single source of truth. And I'm not sure how further they are with this project. So this is one thing also we need to think about.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point, Ahmad. I think that the vault is somewhere. I cannot tell you where it is, but I think I've seen some issues that is actually there was some progress there, and there was also kind of a POC working, but definitely probably it makes sense to start to understand also in which state they are and which is their timeline and roadmap. Because I mean, we probably don't want to do the work twice, because if we need to start to solve the secrets problem by ourselves within multiple namespaces, what are we doing? Are we duplicating the secrets? Are we do keep them in sync? So a lot of things to solve is also by itself is a huge project. So I think it's something that is definitely a great entry requirement that we should double check on this. Thank you for raising this up. Perfect.
Yeah, probably. So probably down the road, we'll probably talk about the secret management, as well as, yeah, if we do go to this namespace way, then I'm thinking of like, yeah, we probably need to think about like where like some shared secrets are going to be, right? And stuff like that. And also RBAC can get very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Cluster roles versus just roles and namespaces.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be like another pretty big discussion.
Yeah.
And a pretty important one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Definitely, you're right, Jenny. Thank you. Anything else? So I really encourage you to write everything down. I took the notes, is in our document, shared document. So if you need some input to add your thoughts again into the issue, but please add all your thoughts that we discussed today into the issue. I think there are already extra discussion points that we can bring up, and we can keep the discussion there. But already this could help us also to define some areas and define a bit better of the scope that we want to bring this, right? Well, then, thank you very much. And thank you for your contribution, and I speak to you later.